Good afternoon. I'm Teresa Stretch, an education and training specialist with the Institute of Child Nutrition, and I would like to welcome you to the August School of Nutrition STAR webinar on managing and applying for grants. In order to meet the unique training, technical assistance, and professional development needs of school of nutrition professions, ICN has launched the School of Nutrition STAR Strategies, Trainings, Action Plans, and Resources initiative to help schools develop goals and best practices to improve program administration and operations. The School of Nutrition STAR program will offer a multitude of elements that include face-to-face workshops, virtual instructor-led trainings, webinars, and spotlight success stories to proactively offer standardized training, real-life strategies of program implementation, mentorship, and coaching to develop action plans and goals along with training and facilitation techniques, and access to free resources and education materials to assist school of nutrition professionals with navigating through the enhanced responsibilities of school of nutrition operations. The Institute of Child Nutrition has collaborated with the USDA to host monthly webinars. The STAR webinar series is designed as a communication platform that features school districts that have implemented creative strategies and best practices for common school of nutrition topics, as well as allied organizations who develop and offer free resources to support school of nutrition programs. The Institute has created a website for all materials and resources specifically related to the webinars. You can find the information at theicn.org/STAR. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Managing and Applying Grants, where you will learn about ways to obtain resources to promote a healthy school environment. During today's webinar, all attendees are muted. There will be time for questions following the speaker's presentation. If you have questions, please type it into the question box on your screen. Handouts are available and can be downloaded directly from your webinar panel. We will try to get as many questions as possible, but due to our time constraints, every question may not get answered during the webinar. At the end of the presentation, you will be asked to complete an evaluation, and after completion of the evaluation, you will receive a certificate. USDA Professional Standards. Professional Standards for School of Nutrition Professionals is a key provision of the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010. The topics covered in today's webinar fall under the key area administration and meet the USDA Professional Standard Codes Healthy School Environment 3230. Our panelists, Kathy McComb. Kathy is a contract and grant specialist at the Institute of Child Nutrition, where among her duties she packages grants and cooperative agreements for submission to awarding agencies. Before joining the ICN, Kathy previously coordinated the daily activities of grant-funded projects at the University of Mississippi's National Center for Computational Hydroscience and Engineering. Kathy enhances her professional development as a contracts and grant specialist by attending continuing education workshops and earning certificates of grant-related topics that include financial management, research law, grant writing, and proposal development. She holds a Bachelor's of Art degree in English and Master's of degree in Higher Education and Student Service Personnel. Tristana Perkle is the Grant Program Manager for Whole Kids Foundation, where she manages all of the house grant programs, including the Garden Grant and Honeybee Grant programs, which collectively have supported over 5,000 recipients with over $10 million. She started her 7th year with the foundation this month and loves supporting schools and organizations in growing healthy kids. Rodney Taylor is the Director of Food and Nutrition Services for the Fairfax County Public Schools in Virginia. Fairfax County Public Schools is the 10th largest district in the U.S., with 186,000 students in 196 schools, providing 149,000 meals per day. Prior to his employment with the Fairfax County Public Schools, Rodney was employed as the Director of Nutrition Services for the Riverside Unified School District in Riverside, California. A noted pioneer and an expert in farm-to-school salad bars, he is particularly known for establishing the Farmers Market Salad Bar program in 1997 while working as the Director of Food and Nutrition Services in the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District in Santa Monica, California. Rodney has served on the California State Board of Food and Agriculture, the University of California President Advisory Commission for Agriculture and Natural Resources, and the Network for Healthy California's Executive Committee. Rodney is the recipient of numerous honors and awards: the California Endowment's Health Heroes Award, Loma Linda University Award for the promotion of healthy lifestyles for outstanding commitment to the public's health, just to name a couple. The learning objectives for today's webinar is participants will identify ways to obtain resources to promote a healthy school environment. Kathy will begin by sharing some key terms and basic information about grant management.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy McCombs, Contract and Grant Specialist with the Institute of Child Nutrition at the University of Mississippi. Before we discuss how to manage and apply for grants, let's review some common grant terms. A proposal refers to an application to be submitted to the granting agency and may include an applicant's goals and activities for a proposed project, the qualifications of the applicant, and how the proposed project matches the requirements of the granting agency. A project director is the primary person responsible for the project. The project director ultimately has a duty to ensure that all project activities comply with federal, state, and local laws, in addition to any other regulations that apply. There are three major types of funding agencies: government, foundations and organizations, and industry or business. In this portion of the webinar, I will discuss the government agency funding. Government agency funding may be federal, state, or local. The USDA Food and Nutrition Service is an example of a federal funding agency. A federal funding agency generally grants three types of awards: a grant, a cooperative agreement, or a contract. One major distinguishing factor among these three types of awards is the amount of funding, the agency involvement in carrying out the activities of the project. The highest level of funding agency involvement typically occurs with a contract. The next highest level of funding agency involvement occurs with a cooperative agreement. And finally, the grant allows for the lowest level of funding agency involvement. With a grant, more flexibility is given to the project director on how the project activities are conducted. The process for applying for the three types of federal awards generally is also different. With a contract, the applicant will provide a quote or respond to a request for proposal. Applicants to a cooperative agreement may typically respond to a request for application, and a federal grant will include an application packet and guidelines. Now that you've reviewed a few common grant terms, think of your organization's mission and vision, then search for funding opportunities that match. When searching for opportunities, read the opportunity guidelines and requirements. Consider how you are eligible. Can your organization meet the requirements of the project period and timeline? Do you have the resources, the equipment, infrastructure to carry out the project activities? Do you have the expertise, the personnel required? After considering the organization's eligibility, think of how the organization will adhere to the terms and conditions of the grant project. Does the organization have a system to produce and track the reporting of project activities? Does the organization have policies in place that demonstrate effort to comply with statutory and regulatory requirements? Examples of policies that may be in place are non-discrimination policies, a drug-free work environment, conflict of interest, and lobbying. Also, does the organization have a system to ensure that project activity costs are allowable? Does your organization have an internal audit system? Finally, with federal awards, is the organization familiar with the Uniform Administrative Requirements, cost principles, and audit requirements? To begin searching for opportunities, you may try a few of these resources: the USDA Food and Nutrition Service, grants.gov, the Foundation Center, and the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. A list of resources is available on a handout and can be accessed through the webinar panel. At this time, does anyone have any questions? We do have a question. The question is, what are the uniform administrative requirements that you mentioned? These requirements are federal administrative requirements that are common to grants management related to reporting, equipment management, record keeping, and financial accounting. No more questions? Now Tristana Perkle. Tristana will discuss some additional tips to consider when applying for a grant.
Great, thank you everyone. Just trying to get my screen set up so I can share with you all. There we go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Tristana Perkle. I am the Grant Programs Manager for Whole Kids Foundation. I'm happy to be here to share more about Whole Kids as well as how we can support on grants. So the mission of Whole Kids Foundation is to improve children's health and nutrition by supporting schools and organizations and inspiring families. Our organization was founded in 2011, but our story actually started in 2009. We were founded by Whole Foods Market, and our founder was doing a marketing initiative in stores to raise funds to support salad bars in schools. They wanted to bring their mission of fresh and healthy food to schools, and what they found was that team members and their customers were a lot more excited about this mission than they realized. And they ended up raising almost $1 million for hundreds of salad bars to go into schools. So with that, they kind of saw the writing on the wall. They saw the interest and the passion in the community, and they created Whole Kids Foundation 2 years later. So how do we support our recipients? We have a number of programs with specific eligibility requirements and application and deadlines and processes, but we also seek to build relationships that are unique to each programmatic partner and support new and innovative ways in growing healthy kids. So before I kind of dive into how we build relationships, I'd like to check with you all and just kind of poll the room. So a poll is going to show up on your end in just a second. But essentially, I'd love to know, what is your comfort level in creating a relationship with grantors or foundations? So you'll have 4 options here. Either you'll select that you're super comfortable, you could coach other people on how to talk to foundations or grantors. You feel relatively comfortable, you have a couple of relationships going, you feel kind of comfortable, but you would like tips to engage with grantors, and you're not at all comfortable and you're not really quite sure where to start, hence you're at this webinar. So we'll give you a couple more seconds, and once the answers pop up, we'll see who's in the room. Well, it looks like maybe the poll didn't quite work for everyone, so it didn't quite have any answers there, but we'll keep moving forward and seeing and sharing at least how our tips for creating relationships with grantors. Let's see, how do I, there we go, great, awesome. Great. So the way in which we seek to build relationships is often super organically, and people often ask us, well, how does that get started? And we love finding people when they are doing their true, authentic mission, when they are just kind of doing what they do when no one else is looking. But we can't know about it if you don't share about it. So we'd really encourage you to kind of share your story, whether that's on social media, press releases, going to conferences, and even if it's just your hopes and your dreams, start speaking and sharing, and hopefully then you'll be connected with others. And then from there, being upfront about your needs, your capabilities, and your dreams, however that connects to your own personal organization's mission, is really the best way for us to know what you're able to do and what your goals are and how they fit in with ours. We really seek to find win-win partnerships that are truly supportive of both organizations' mission. We've had in the past organizations come to us and say, what would you like us to do? And that's not really, at least for our foundation, what we find to be the most successful. We really want to support what is something that works best for you all and is what you're good at and what you're the most expert at, and see if that connects to what our goals are. So we'd really just encourage that honesty, transparency, and authenticity in what your mission is, instead of trying to kind of mold yourself to your grantor's mission. And if it's not a good fit, then it's not a good fit. And then sometimes timing and capacity is also incredibly important. Sometimes it's not quite the right time for either organization, or the capacity of either organization isn't quite there. So really allowing for relationships, just like any other relationship, to grow over time and get to know each other. And then with that, staying in touch, and that can be true both before a grant is initiated or established, and also afterwards, because you never know what the next best opportunity could be and where that could align with each other's goals. So really, again, just kind of going back to demystifying this relationship. In the day where we at granting organizations and foundations are just humans too, and just to kind of build that relationship and find those win-win goals. So I wanted to share a little bit more information about Whole Kids Foundation and what we offer and how we can support you in improving children's nutrition. So we have a number of opportunities for school food support. We have a salad bar grant, which is an equipment grant of a salad bar to a school district to support their school food services. We also have a Get School Cooking grant. This is an opportunity with Chef Ann Foundation to receive technical assistance, as well as a portion is an equipment grant to support school districts in getting back to scratch cooking. That is about an 18-month program. So we're currently in the middle of a current cohort of school districts, but check back with us next year to understand when that's available. And our salad bar grant is available year-round. We also have a Healthy Staff program, which is a free health and wellness class for teachers and food service staff. We do 2 different classes based on which cohort we're working with, either the teachers or the food service staff. And this is really an opportunity to support these individuals in their own health and wellness, so that they are positive role models and change agents in their school communities. This opportunity is also available year-round. It's just a matter of matching instructors with where we have interest. So reach out to us if you're interested in this program. And then we have our garden grant program, which is a $2,000 monetary grant for an edible educational garden. This is about to be open September 1st through October 15th. And this is a really great way, if you haven't explored school gardens, a really great statistically proven way to get kids excited about fresh fruits and vegetables. If they garden, then they are more likely to eat it. Also, along the lines of school gardens, we have our Garden to Cafeteria Toolkit, which has just launched. We developed this program in partnership with Slow Food USA. It's a step-by-step approach to help school district services, school food services at a school district, set up the protocols, the processes to safely serve garden produce that's been harvested by the students in the cafeteria. And we're actually launching, so this toolkit is available for download whenever from our website for free, but we're actually launching a 4-month webinar program next week on September 6th to walk districts through the process step by step, even further, including office hours and remote support with Andrew Nowak, who is the author of the toolkit. And then at that point, you can also apply for on-site technical support. We will be selecting 3 districts if you'd like a deeper level of support with that program. And then finally, we have our B Grant program. This is an opportunity to receive support for an educational B program at a school and organization. This is also open relatively soon, September 1st through October 15th. You can choose one of 4 options, 3 different equipment hives that are mailed directly to your school, as well as a $1,500 monetary grant, choosing from one of those 4. The value of this program is at $2,000 per grant because it includes the direct support and consultation of the Because Project, our programmatic partner in this program. They are our bee experts and are very well versed at how to bring bee education to students and to kids. So I also wanted to share another tool that we have, which is our grant writing tips worksheet and document. There's actually a copy of it in your handout section. I'll just walk through it at a very high level, just pointing out some key pieces, but definitely take a look at it, especially for anyone who's new to grant writing or wants an opportunity to kind of refresh their grant writing. This document was developed by our Food Corps reviewers. Our garden grant program, we have the pleasure of working with Food Corps. They review our garden grants every year, and about 4 years ago or so, they developed this tool when they were reviewing the grants, and they compiled everything they wished they could tell the applicant, the individual constructive feedback. So it really focuses very much on how to write a grant versus the what, because every grant application is different. It's just more about how to tell your story. So just at a high level, there were 7 themes that emerged from all of their notes and compiling of all of their thoughts. So these are the 7 kind of things to keep in mind. First, being specific, really painting the picture about your program, including very specific quantifiable goals and metrics. You know your program, but the organization, the grantor you're applying to doesn't. So definitely don't worry about over-explaining or including too many details. Allow for the unique character of your program to come through and your own unique approach to the issue, to the problem you're trying to solve, to the program that you're implementing. Really allow for the grantor to understand why they should be giving the grant to you. Be concise, be succinct in your wording. Know that you're essentially preaching to the choir, so there's no need to explain, if you're applying for our school garden grant, for example, you don't need to explain why school gardens are effective. We already know and are on board, so just tell us about your school garden and what makes it so successful. Be realistic, be honest and know your capabilities and what you're able to accomplish, kind of going back to the building of relationship tips. This will set you up for success and set expectations correctly with the grantor. And at the end of the day, most reviewers of your grants will be subject matter experts and will know how to implement or have some experience implementing what you're proposing. So they'll know kind of if you're being too hyperbolic or not. Be strategic, really seek out grants and opportunities that are matched to your goals and what you're eligible for. So don't waste your time or your energy applying for things that don't quite fit. And really speak to your audience. research the mission of your organization and previous recipients that they've supported and really speak to what they're trying to accomplish, as long as it is, of course, matched to what you're able to offer in your own goals. Be sustainable. A grantor usually wants to see that your program, your opportunity can extend beyond what they're able to support. So lay out and share, and even if it's just ideas, other ways in which your program will be supported and sustained into the future, kind of starting to think about it from a business approach. And then finally, just be passionate. You're doing this work for a reason. You have this idea, this program that you're trying to implement for a reason, and just allow that to come through. So definitely check out more in the handout section. There are specific examples and a lot more detail included if you're interested. So contact us. You can find us at wholekidsfoundation.org, or you can email us at grants@wholekidsfoundation.org if you'd like to learn about any of our programs or learn, when things are eligible, or if you have any other questions. And I just wanted to close by saying thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for helping us to grow healthy kids. I think we'll close it out with some questions. See if there are any questions. Okay, there are a couple. Where can I go to find more information about the Salad Bar Grant? You can go to our website, wholekidsfoundation.org. Go to the Grants and Programs section, I believe it is what it's called. I think it's the second tab. And go to the Salad Bar Grants section. We are a partnership of salad bars to schools. It is a partnership of a bunch of organizations that fund salad bars. So that's where you'll go to find more information. Do these grants work for child care facilities or only for large school districts? That's a good question. So we fund schools and nonprofit organizations that work with children in any grade range of kindergarten through 12th grade. So as long as you are a nonprofit entity, sometimes child care centers aren't, or sometimes they're preschool only. At this time, our focus is on K through 12. So as long as you're within any range of that, whether you're a school or a nonprofit, you're eligible to apply to our program. Again, a question about our garden grants only for school districts. No, they're for nonprofit organizations or schools. And a school district can apply on behalf of many schools, or a school can apply on their own. At the end of the day, we really want to know where the garden is located, so we definitely are interested in receiving this specific school's information if you're working with the school district. Let's see, we've got a bunch here. Are the garden grants, let's see, no. Is there a geographic area you fund? So we fund all across the United States and Canada. And beyond that, there's no specific area we focus on. We do try and create geographic diversity. Sometimes we get the question, because we are a Whole Foods Market founded organization, do we only fund programs in areas where there are Whole Foods Market stores? That is not the case. We fund in all areas, in all states. We support everyone, public, private schools, all over. Let's see, we've got a bunch of questions here. Where can I find more information about the Healthy Staff program? Again, go to our website. It'll be under Grants and Programs. You can email as well, healthy.teachers@wholefoods.com. Or if you email this email right here, Grants at Whole Kids Foundation, I will direct you in the right direction. And it looks like you're looking for instructors in the Birmingham area of Alabama. We'll look into that for you. Let's see, are there schools? Yes, okay, so there's a question about our garden grant program, and is it for new or pre-existing, and you're kind of creating an expansion of a garden? It's available for any type of garden in any stage, whether it's brand new or pre-existing, whether you're just getting started and breaking ground, or you have a gorgeous garden and you just want to add a fence to keep the deer out. We really support any level, as long as the funds are going to support that educational edible garden. Let's see. How many grants are submitted and what percentage of grants are awarded? It depends by program. We really do get a fair amount of grants. Our garden grants, for example, we get about 1,200 grants applications each year. We fund about 600. Our honeybee grant program, we get a lot less interest. Schools are kind of still getting on board with honeybee programs, but we get about 300 and we're able to fund about 50 of those. Our S.T.A.R program is a little bit different in that it's just kind of making sure that you're eligible and then you kind of get in line. So right now there are about a couple hundred schools on the waiting list. So it really kind of depends. Private schools can apply. We got that question. Got a lot of great questions here, y'all. And another question about preschools. Yes, even though you are state funded, if you don't have kindergarten involved, you're not eligible to apply for our programs at this time. We are considering early childhood education. We definitely know it's important, and we'll, be sure to check back with us in the future. Okay. I think that's all the questions I'll take for now, just to keep us moving along in our presentation. But if there were any other questions that I didn't get to, I'm definitely happy to follow up after the webinar via email. And now I will pass it over to Rodney.
Hello, everyone. Give me just a second, and I'll get this going. I'm going to get it going. Here we go. So I've been working with grants for now, I would say 26 years, back to 1997. I remember writing the first grant proposal for the Farmers Market Salad Bar, which was the first of its kind in the country, and we wanted to do something different. And back in those days, writing grants, I believe, were a little more difficult because you needed the services of a grant writer, because you really needed to articulate what it was you wanted to do and how you were going to do it and all of that. And that wasn't my forte. Mine was more getting programs going and articulating them after the fact. So that's how it started out then. The good news is now is that the grants are a lot easier to get. I think the grantors realized that it was difficult, that oftentimes, and I've said on the side reviewing grants at the federal level, and I've argued many times that the best grant writers got the grants, that oftentimes the more needier programs that couldn't afford grant writers or couldn't articulate as well got left out. And so anyway, I want to talk a little bit about what I see as just total free money, and it goes back to 1997 with the Farmers Market Salad Bar. We received the seed money, and I always look at grants as seed money. That's all I'm looking for. It's something that I could use as seed money to get started, to show my boss there's revenues there, and we can do this, and we'll make it sustainable. And so in my short time here in Fairfax, and I just finished up my third year, we took in, as you can see on the screen, in the first 2 years, over $1 million in grants to implement innovative and creative programs while maintaining the bottom line. And for those of you who might say, well, wait a minute, I don't have the money to be applying for grants. We're struggling here. Well, I want you to know we were struggling here as well. I inherited a program that had lost $9 million over 5 years, and it lost $1.5 million the year before. And so the question becomes, well, how do I stop the bleeding financially and improve the program so that kids will participate? And the only thing I can tell you, that's a balancing act. But I'll tell you this, that if you can't afford not to do it, because if you continue to do the same thing and you're losing money, then expect it to continue losing money. So my belief is always you can't afford not to innovate and look for seed money. And so there were a number of programs for us that weren't being implemented in Fairfax that allowed me to go after money in various areas, from alternative breakfast programs to breakfast in the classroom, salad bars, the summer meals program, the CACFP, the supper program, and then equipment assistance as well. And so I can tell you that in my district, we had put on all 38 of the schools that qualified for funding for breakfast in the classroom. All 38 of those schools now have breakfast in the class programs, and all 38 of them received the startup funding for us to do that. And we're into the third year, and they're sustainable. They will go on into perpetuity. Really, I see it. It was an opportunity to get money for things I was going to do anyway. Now, we talk about timing. Sometimes I wait. Sometimes I move faster. Sometimes I need to learn. I was so busy writing down on the last presenter. We're going to be busy bugging them about grants. But salad bars, for example, we're putting salad bars in all 141 elementary schools we have. Well, guess what? Through the Chef Ann program, Chef Ann Foundation, through the Whole Foods Foundation, as well as United Fresh Produce, there's a commitment to provide us with all 141 salad bars. That's a value of about $424,000. And to date, going into this school year, we put salad bars in 52 schools, all of them funded through the grant, and we're adding 31 a year until all 141. And so we'll add 31 this year, and we already have the list of schools for next year. Schools are clamoring to get at this. This is what I was brought here for. They specifically brought me to this district to put salad bars in their schools, so they were going to get them anyway. So to know that there was grant funding out there that would provide us with the salad bars just made it a lot easier for me to move the program along more expeditiously, and then use other funding to go out and hire a farm to school coordinator, because we want to buy local, and we're large enough that we want to tell the farmers in the state of Virginia, if you grow it, we'll buy it, and we can support the local economy in that way. And so those are just some of the benefits of grants. I'm just a big proponent of grants. I'm looking for them all the time. You don't necessarily have to do things right away. Sometimes you need to learn what it is, and you may go to other school districts that have already received the funding and find out more about it in some cases. The summer meals program, we had that here in Fairfax, but we only had the traditional summer feeding program that was tied to summer school enrichment programs or intervention programs, and that only ran from 2 to 6 weeks. And yet 28% of our kids come from at-risk homes, which meant 53,000 students left school on the last day of school, not knowing whether they were going to have lunch every day. And so we started our own summer meals feeding program. We started with 10 schools the first year, and those were fully funded. And we do daily outdoor barbecues in schools. We're now up to 29 sites, and we've got a commitment from an organization, an agency in our county. They want to turn over the feeding portion of their program. They provide enrichment. They want to turn over the feeding so that we would do the barbecue at 38 more sites. And so we're really excited about that, and we hope that there's going to be grant funding available to buy more grills, to do outdoor grilling. And it is there. You just have to beat the bushes and always be looking for it. And I have to tell you something, that after 26 years, I do know this. Funders are always looking for people who are going to do what they say they're going to do. There's always somebody out there looking for money who didn't understand the 7 points that She just pointed out to you all the important things about what you need to do and what you need to know. But more importantly, what you have the resources to do in your district. Don't just write grant proposals to get money. Write grant proposals that in most cases you're going to do no matter what. And then it's a lot easier then to secure those funds because you'll have a pretty good idea of what you're going to do. And so that's what we're going to do with the summer meals feeding program. It'll bring us up to nearly 60 sites next summer. It will provide over 500 employees that traditionally wouldn't work summer are going to have jobs, and that makes folks happy and keeps that continuity you need to have. And the after school meals, we put that in 38 sites. We have 57 that are eligible, so we'll continue to be talking to principals to make sure they're aware that it's out there and the funding is out there for that. And the equipment assistant grants come through USDA, and those have been available each year, and we always apply for those. They've allowed us to put in I have a blank on the ovens. They're not the confection ovens, but the I can't think of the name of it. I'm sorry. But they're the ones that get you the wet heat that you need for reheating items, and you don't want to dry them out the way confection ovens might do if you're not careful. So these are all the programs that over the 2 years, and Teresa will tell you later if she was able. I sent this information in late, but there is a spreadsheet that I submitted to her, and if we don't have it now, we certainly will make it available to you. And what it will do is tell you every grant we received, who the provider was, whether it was a website or if we had some printed copies somewhere, the description of what we used it for, the date that we submitted, what the award amount was, and what we did with it. And, you can always email me. I'm a large district with large resources. And so when we put programs in place, we recognize there are small districts, like the first one I was ever in, and where you had to do everything. And in many ways, that's a deterrent because you're overwhelmed already and you say, I don't have time for this. Well, now the larger districts realize that we can play a role in helping smaller districts. And so everything we do, we articulate it. It's on our website. If it's not, I'll just forward it to somebody that'll get you everything that you need. Grants, you don't have to be afraid of them anymore. Back in '97, I was thoroughly afraid of them and was always looking for grant writers, and in some cases hired people just for a particular grant. I don't have to do that anymore. And it's not because we have our own grant writers, is we've taught ourselves over the years how to do this thing. And so some of the sources that I use and I always look for is always go to USDA's website throughout the year and look what's going on there. In our own state of Virginia, Inova Hospital wanted to know how much money I needed so that I could bring up all of the summer feeding sites that were eligible that I didn't already have money for. So they ended up providing me with $115,000 for me to bring on 13 more sites so they could say that they helped us provide meals for every kid that was at risk. So that was 2 years ago. This last year, Aetna insurance company gave us $15,000 to help us expand the program. And we're talking with Kaiser Foundation to get the monies in the future. Other places I look is the dairy councils for the various states, No Kid Hungry, Share Our Strength, United Produce, Chef Ann Foundation, the School Nutrition Association, just getting on websites of anyone that FRAC, they may not provide you money, but these organizations will provide you with organizations that too provide the money. So you just have to beat the bushes a little bit. And that's not hard work. That's just going online in the evening for me and just looking folks up. You know, it's free money. It truly is. You know, you can imagine what it looks like to my district when wow, this guy brought us in $1.1 million. You know, and they probably think I have some special skill that I don't have. The skill that I have is beating the bushes for money, and then the other side is making real sure that when I write a grant proposal, that I'm absolutely certain that we're going to get it done. And I'm always going to get it done because I'm not giving money back. That is never going to happen. Although I do have to tell you a quick story, and I know I'm using up time, and I'm going to. But I had an organization, Lifetime Foods, and you might look them up. And they called and said, if we gave you money, what would you do with it? I said, well, if you gave me $1 million, I'd do this, but I don't think you're going to give me $1 million. But if you gave me $600,000, this is what I do, and 600 is a lot. Why didn't you spread it over 3 years? Because I couldn't do it all in 1 year anyway. This is what I do. And they actually liked the proposal. It was one caveat. You had to commit to taking chocolate milk out, and they tried that in this district. The community went crazy. My boss let me know that that was a deal stopper, so that ended the conversation. So for the first time in my life, I actually turned away $400,000. That still makes me want to puke to think about it. And then you know, there's notifications that you go on the websites and these folks will let you know when they're sending stuff out. And you get on those lists and you get word of it. So the best practice is you need to tell your story all the time, anywhere. I'm shameless about talking about what we've done in our school districts and what we're capable of doing because those are the funders who look and say, hey, you know, you get a call that says, what would you do? You become known for being doing things a little different. And that's what you have to do if we're going to change perceptions about who we are and be better at what we do and not be the brunt of jokes and what have you. And on that, I believe I'm at questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them off. So either you don't have any questions or you hated my presentation because I don't see anything. But I'll wait a minute. And if we don't have any more questions at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Teresa and she'll wrap it up for us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rodney, for sharing that information. And we will put up that spreadsheet at within the very near future. We would like to just a final reminder that this webinar has been recorded and can be viewed on the ICN website at theicn.org/STAR. Please complete the evaluation for this webinar. This concludes our August webinar, and remember to check us out next month for another webinar and more exciting things going on in school and nutrition. Thanks again to our speakers, Kathy McCombs, Tristana Perkle, and Rodney Taylor. Have a great school year.